Good morning and welcome back to my channel, lovelies. Today we have a cooking video that is actually split into 2 days. I started it the night before. As you can see, I'm cleaning the kitchen. If you're wondering why do I have waste on the side of my counter, my neighborhood actually started doing compost bin, so I am holding those to be taken out later. This night I really had a bad craving for something sweet, so in my head, I'm just gonna make chocolate chip cookies without realizing that the recipe I started lets the dough rest overnight so it ferments even more, as they are sourdough chocolate chip cookies. I find myself using the kitchen scale from time to time depending on recipes. In some I feel very comfortable just doing a cup. In others I am very precise when it comes to the flour, especially making the cookies, because it's something I'm not really comfortable yet. I assume as the time it goes it'll become like any other of my cooking, in which I use things as suggestions instead of guidelines. This recipe is very finicky because it asks for a specific amount of time for things to be waxed for, from 20 to 30 seconds to 45 to 60 seconds. So I have my phone very close by to time the things. I hopefully will get used to it and looking at when things are ready, so I won't need to use a timer anytime. Here I'm changing the jar in which I have my discard. The top looked very crusty, so I felt the need to put it into a new jar. This is actually the next morning. I forgot to film putting the cookies in the oven, but this is them coming out. This morning I woke up with a craving for barbecue food, something like very salty, very savory, and also jalapeno peppers, but I do not have jalapenos in house, so I couldn't do them. So I went with doing the most I could of barbecue food. Here I am trying to make cornbread as usual. I'll put the link to all the recipes I did in the video down below. I need to start paying more attention to the servings of food in these recipes because it is a small house. It's just me and my husband, and if I make over food, we have leftovers, but sometimes I make so much that we cannot possibly get to all of them because we get tired of eating the same thing every day. Lucky for me, on this day I was able to give some of the food to one of my friends. I did not follow a recipe for the meat. Honestly, this was just me putting a ton of spices on it that I thought would taste good. And yeah, the bean tasted good. The one thing, next time I will put a lot more barbecue sauces you will put at the end, because then when the meat cooks and the barbecue sauce slides down and mixes with the juices of the meat, it becomes this really good sauce that is very good to put over the meat and even the mashed potatoes you'll see I'll make later. I realized there's no point of me using the cutting board when the meat fits perfectly in the dish I was gonna put it in the oven with. But at that point I already had the cutting board, so it kind of made no point, but it makes sense for me. My husband is not a fan of having a lot of fat within his meat, so I cut part of it. The other part I leave behind, one because it was too big, and two, apparently fat helps meat taste better. I wasn't sure. Probably I was just lazy to cut the whole thing off. This might look weird, but these are the ingredients for the mac and cheese. I like to season all of my food, including the mac and cheese. This is usually a recipe I do in the slow cooker, but I failed to realize I should have started this first before I started everything else, and it would have been fine. So I tried to do a speed up version of it, of doing it in the stove. It turned out okay, but I do still prefer doing it in the slow cooker or crock pot, whichever way you know it by. Apart from topping the mac and cheese with more cheese, I top it with breadcrumbs that I make myself from toasted bread. Shortly, you'll see the point in which my camera dies. I'm still getting used to timing how much the batteries last. Even though I have multiples of them, getting the timer to when to change them is still something I'm working off. So you don't get to see the mac and cheese coming out of the oven, unfortunately. This was a very delicious meal. Hope you enjoyed, and don't forget to subscribe.